this person's destiny. Why did you do this on this day? Come here, respond to this. Why did you kill this person? Why did you steal? Why did you say that? And people on that day, they will not be able to talk. يَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَى أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. On that day when the mouth will be sealed. وَتَشْهَدُ the hands and the tongue will speak, not as the person, the tongue itself will speak. يَوْمَ تَشْهَدُ عَلَيْهِمْ أَلْسِنَتُهُمْ وَأَيْدِيهِمْ وَأَرْجُلُهُمْ. On that day when the tongue, the hands, the limbs, the body, the organs of the body will speak. Because the organ of the body will be so scared on the day of judgment, it does not want to go to hell. So it will speak, and it will say, God, he made me do this. She made me do this. And then the person will speak. This is in the Quran. وَقَالُوا لِجُلُودِهِمْ لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا. Why did you witness against me? قَالُوا أَنْطَقَنَا اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْطَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah allowed me to speak, and I'm going to speak. I don't want to go to hell. The one who allowed everything to speak, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed me to speak. And the limbs will witness against the person. People, the accounting, people will generally be gathered around the person they followed. So people who followed a particular prophet will be standing behind that prophet. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all with him, standing behind him on that day, because we are his followers. Some people will be standing behind Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, the people who followed him, the true followers of Jesus. Some people will be standing behind Musa alayhi salam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, on the day of judgment, I will see some prophets who have one or two followers only. They spent their entire life calling. On the day of judgment, they will have one or two followers. Some will come and they have no followers. They will have no followers. The Prophet will be there. He went to a nation, no one believed in him. Not a single person. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will have the largest following. People who followed a particular person, if they're not a prophet, Marxists will be standing behind Karl Marx. Materialists will be standing with a group of materialists. People who worship a particular person, an idol, they will be standing behind that idol. And each one of these people will be led to a destination. If they are a good group of people, they are Muslim, they will not go anywhere, they will stay there. But everyone else will be an angel. If it was an idol, for example, an angel will come in the shape of that idol, and the people will follow that angel until they are in hell. They are taken to hell. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims, they are there, they are gathered. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sends an angel to test the believers, just to see. And the angel says, I am your Lord. And they will say, no, you are not. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows a part of himself. يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ. Allah will show a part of himself in a way that is befitting of him. And then all of the believers, the Muslim believers, the good and the not so good Muslims, they will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will say, make sujood. يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ وَيُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ. Some of those people will not be able to make sujood. The one who makes sujood here, the one who prostrates here, will prostrate there. The one who does not prostrate here, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, his backbone will become stiff. He will try to go down and he can't. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ خَاشِعَةً أَبْصَارُهُم تَرْهَقُهُم ذِلَّةٌ. They will be filled with humiliation. وَقَدْ كُنْتُمْ تُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ وَأَنْتُمْ سَالِمُونَ. I used to tell you to pray salah when you were fine. You had a strong back, you had food, you had drink, you had a job, you had a car, you had a family, you had everything. I used to call you to pray 5 times and you didn't do it. Now it is too late. So this happens, and then the general accounting takes place. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, in numerous verses, he says to the human being, اقرأ كتابك, read your book. كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. You yourself are sufficient to hold yourself accountable. You know what you've done. You cannot wear a mask on that day. Ibn al-Qayyim, he says, don't be fooled by what people think of you. If the whole community claps for you, MashaAllah, Takbir, Allahu Akbar, you're a wali min awliya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't be deceived by that, he says. Because he says, you know yourself. And Allah knows you. You know the real you. Don't be deceived by this. Oh, everyone thinks I'm good, I must be good. No. Because it's really, what it comes down to is who you really are. Because that is just an external image that people have. The real person is inside. Who is that real person? That's the person who will be held accountable. The person who has a dark side, who has secrets that nobody knows about. This person knows himself. And Allah will say to him or her, كَفَى بِنَفْسِكَ الْيَوْمَ عَلَيْكَ حَسِيبًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran that what happens next on the Day of Judgment, people are given their books. So in this distribution of books, it's like the distribution of report cards. Allah, He says in the Quran, throughout the Quran, numerous places, describing this moment, it's a very intense moment. So before people get their book in their right hand or their left hand, they are worried. Even the prophets, as we saw, they are worried because they are still not sure. And that day, God is angry at particular people, and everyone is worried. So it's similar to being in a classroom. This is just an example. Allah is above examples. And you see the teachers giving back the grades, and the teacher is, before they pass out the grades, they were very bad. You think you might have done good, but you're not sure. And you say, I don't care about you, I'm just worried about myself. So Allah, He says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ, the one who gets his or her book in their right hand, they will celebrate. It will be such a joyous occasion. Before Ramadan, I attended my sister's graduation, and I remember seeing this one young lady, she wasn't Muslim, who went on stage to get her diploma. And right before she got the diploma, right before she held it in her hands, she broke down into tears out of happiness. And I said, SubhanAllah, this is just a diploma of this world. Imagine on the Day of Judgment, you've fasted so many Ramadans, you've given so much charity, you've done so much, you finally reached it and you finally got your book in your right hand. What joy will you be experiencing? The fear of the Day of Judgment, the sweat, the gathering, the resurrection, the grave, death, experiencing all of these things, all of these hardships, and finally, you get your book in your right hand. This young lady was crying because of what she put in to get that diploma. She sacrificed a lot to get that. And when she got it, it meant so much for her. When you get your book in your right hand, the person on the Day of Judgment will scream out, and he will say, "Ha uqra'u kitabiya." He will say, come, read my book. Inni dhanantu anni mulaqin hisabiya. I knew that this is going to happen. I knew that I will be held accountable. فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. So he will be in a very pleasurable life. فِي جَنَّةٍ عَالِيَةٍ. In a very high room of paradise. لَا قُطُوفُهَا دَانِيَةٍ. The fruits are low, meaning no effort is required to eat something. You don't have to get up and cook. It comes to you. You don't have to climb the tree to get the fruit. The fruit will come down to you, indicating of how luxurious and easy life will be. Allah, He says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ. As for the unfortunate person who gets his book in his left hand, فَيَقُولُ. He will say, يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أُوتَ كِتَابِيَا. I wish I never even got this book. Why? And there's another description for people in the Quran. Some of them, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. Some will get their book behind their back, meaning they are hiding it out of shame, compared to the believer who's showing it to everyone, or they did not want to take it, so the angel forced them to take it. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ فَيَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي. He will say, I wish I did not get this book. وَلَمْ أَدْرِ مَا حِسَابِيَا. I wish I did not even know what my account was. يَا لَيْتَهَا كَانَتِ الْقَاضِيَةِ. I wish I died and it ended at that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in another surah in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the end of Surah عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ, He says, إِنَّا أَنذَرْنَاكُمْ عَذَابًا قَرِيبًا. On that day, we have warned you of a punishment that is coming. يَوْمَ يَنْظُرُ الْمَرْءُ مَا قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ. The day where the human being will see what his hands have put forth. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ. And the disbeliever will say on that day, يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. I wish I were dust. I wish I were nothing. I wish that I just were nothing, which is dust. I wish I were dirt, because dirt will not be punished. It's also said that animals, on the day of judgment, justice will be brought forth between animals. And animals will not go to paradise or hell, but they will, in order to make them happy, Allah will say to them, do you wish to have this much food, this many fields to eat from? And they will say yes. And they will eat from that until they are done, and then they die and become dust. So the disbeliever will say, I wish I were like that. But they will not be able to. So that day there is